HalTurnerRadioshow.com. I don't know what Hal Turner looks like. Never heard the actual radio show, but I have seen so many things come from this website over the years. The Chinese troops massing on the border of Canada, what was going on in Michigan, that crash in Michigan. There was some kind of a theory of a deep underground base that was exploded in Maine somewhere that took out all these Chinese troops. I don't know, but this was interesting. I saw this a couple of days ago. Evidence that La Palma eruption and earthquakes are artificial attack. So he's got all of the seismic readouts of what's going on in the Canary Islands, and then down here, which is something I thought would be interesting, is, let me see here. It looks as though La Palma is being attacked. Some kind of technology that's being used to specifically target the island and cause earthquakes. An attack pattern indicates it's intended to deliberately weaken the same southwest flank where there is unstable landmass that has been expected. So what some people have been pointing to, the red dots forming a blob of red indicates the outgoing clusters of earthquakes around the erupting volcano. If you zoom in a little closer on the same earthquake map, you see this. Okay, now what I had asked not too long ago was whether or not anybody had noticed any of the things that Dutch Sense was noticing about a year ago, around the time in 2020 that we were getting closer and closer to the election, and he was noticing that there were beams coming in from orbit, from high altitude, beams that were peppering all along this fault line around Middle America, around the Missouri area. They saw all these steam pockets coming up, like something was peppering and weakening this joint in the earth, possibly for some kind of an event. Now, we were wondering, okay, if Trump wins, there's China. If Trump wins, there might be earthquakes. We might have seismic chaos, everything, because they had to get kinetic, and they couldn't let him go. Then again, he did not win. It was we know who's in office right now. Well, I mean, he did not get inaugurated. We know who's in office right now, and we didn't hear anything else about the earthquakes and all that pressure that was building up from somewhere down Missouri up into Ohio, and even hooking around toward New York. Just kind of all went away. Perhaps it wasn't necessary anymore. But this thing is something different. When I saw this pop up, I said, oh man, well maybe this is something else. Another way to bring the blue helmets in. Now here, let me go on down what it says. Unless, of course, the U.S. government is doing it. Whoever is doing this appears to be trying to cause the destruction of the U.S. East Coast, says the Hal Turner radio show. This may be an actual act of war, unless, of course, the U.S. government is doing it to cause a calamity which wipes out a slew of people who would no longer be able to claim welfare, Medicare, and Medicaid. I think that's too small. That's too small beans. They're not going to wipe out the East Coast just because they want to take some people off of the dole on Medicare and Medicaid. But what I was thinking about is if there is any kind of a hand, a DEW hand, in actually trying to trigger what the scenario that people have been breaking down on everywhere from the History Channel to everywhere, these disaster shows and specials about this mega tsunami. If you can get this island to slide off into the Atlantic Ocean and send 160-foot waves to crash into the East Coast from Miami all the way up to Maine. Think about that. You're talking about trillions of dollars worth of damage. You're talking about tens of millions of people lost. You're talking about the biggest cities gone. It's just huge. It's a huge attack. And to have all that written off in a way where, I mean, obviously we have a country that people want to get rid of, just on the ledger. That's a huge, huge write-off with a country that has a currency that is just really bottomed out, and the fact that they're wondering, how do you bring it? What do you do then? What do you do then when the East Coast is all taken out? That is a country that is limping. You're going to need United Nations help. You want to know how easy it would be to bring the blue helmets in and everybody thinking that it's a good idea? Have a mega tsunami take out the East Coast. Now, I'm not saying that that's happened. I wasn't really fishing around for this. I'm obviously checking out and watching what's going on with that volcano and all of the earthquakes that are getting worse and worse around the area. But when I saw this come out, I said, hey, as long as somebody published it first, I'll talk about it. Why not? So that's where I'm at right there. Let's see any more super chats, and we're going to get into this Alec Baldwin thing, because if we're going to throw out theories, we might as well just go all the way. Natalie J says, Ben over at Suspicious Observers explain this. It's not man-made pattern. It's just where the tracking grid is placed. Oh, it was the actual grid? Those dots? He thought that the dots were suspicious? See, that's why I ask. That's why I ask. What is the deal with Hal Turner radio show? And did he see anything that Dutch had? Because Dutch actually saw high altitude beams, something appear right in the exact places where there was these steam let releases and everything else back in 2020. We've seen it happen before. That's why I was wondering if anybody would think about peppering those same kind of fault lines and weak points in the Canary Islands if you really wanted to find a way to throw us all off. I guess it's too much.